Our next speaker, Daniel Wolfe, is a designer and storyteller originally from Baltimore, Maryland, with a passion for social justice. Currently, he develops data visualizations for Planet in the City, and previously he worked for Tesla. He's been a longtime Creative Mornings audience member, Creative Mornings Oakland team member, and great friend. So please welcome up on stage, Daniel Wolfe.
Great. Okay. So this is me. This is my first selfie. I always had like really long arms. So I've been coming to Creative Mornings for about 3 years now. So I was really honored when Savio and the team asked that I come up and share a little bit about myself. And I think from the first Creative Mornings I went to, which was in Washington D.C. I was, maybe if this is like your first time, maybe you relate to this, or if you think about the first time you were at a Creative Mornings, like just like really terrified of the premise, like of meeting strangers so early, but the promise of coffee, like at the end, like whenever seeing that line and like filling out your name tag, if you could just like make it through and get to the coffee, you knew you'd be okay. But then when things really started to change, when you're just meeting these people who are your neighbors, who you wouldn't have met otherwise, just share their stories with you, and then you see someone take the stage and they say something that resonates with you and really charges you and validates you, which is so important, especially when you are putting so much of yourself, your energy, your time to make something. So this is all to say I'm really grateful to just have some time up here to just share some stories from my life that are really important to me. I was born in a family of 4 boys in Baltimore. A lot of that is generally just pretty normal. But this woman here is my mother, Phu Long Nguyen. She's from Saigon, and that's her mother, Bang Wai, who passed away a few years ago. And growing up, I didn't really quite like understand my mother. English was her third language. She picked it up at like an immigration camp in Guam. She had left Vietnam on Tet, the Lunar New Year, when the Americans were pulling out in '76, and she was privileged enough in a large family to be pretty removed from the war until one day her mom told her to go out and buy some sneakers and that they were going on a trip. And actually recently, StoryCorps, if you're familiar with it, it's an NPR traveling roadshow where close family, friends interview each other. She was part of this 40-year retrospective on the Vietnam War. And I'm going to play like a short clip here, if you don't mind. She's a much better storyteller than I am.
And we're going to take a vacation. That's what her exact word. And I asked her, where are we going? And she said, we don't know yet, but we're going somewhere. It will be a surprise. And I went to a store, bought a pair of tennis shoes, it's white, I still remember. And she said, I asked her, why do I need shoes? She said, there may be a lot of walking. And I said, we're going on vacation, can I bring my hat? Can I bring my bathing suit? Can I bring anything else? She said, no, we don't have a lot of room. And I say, would they have noodle where we're going? She said, I don't know either. And I said, well, I'm packing ramen noodle. I have 2 packs of ramen noodle in my bag. And then she said, go to your aunt's house and wait. And I went there, and then I realized when I get there, all my other cousins were there. And all of a sudden, my aunt is there too. And this is why I was shocked, because she was in Thailand. And they said, we're going to take you all to a new place because this is not safe to stay here anymore. That is exactly when I heard the whole story. And maybe shortly after that, we all squeeze into this car. I forget how many people of us get in the car, get to the airport. It was getting dark. And I remember my uncle with a suitcase with paper, I thought, with our identification. And every time we got stopped, he would open the bag and just hand out paper. But I looked underneath of the paper, right? There were money, a lot of it. And I asked him, why money? And he say, paper doesn't mean anything now, honey. We have to use it. And I see people are trying to get in and screaming, 1,000 of people there. And that's when I start crying. And I yell at my mom and I say, why you lied to me? You say we're going on vacation. We're not. We're running away. Why are we running away? And she say, forget about that. Your job now is holding on to your brother's and your sister's hand and make sure you don't lose them, because we cannot find each other if we get lost.
My mom was 16 years old when she came to Baltimore and was put in a sponsor home that didn't really last very long. She moved in later with into a one-bedroom with her brothers and sisters. And I only heard this story in its entirety, I think like last summer. And it, as you get older and you learn more about your parents and the sacrifices they made to make sure that you had a quality of life that they didn't have access to, it really puts a lot into perspective. And one like story that I think of is like, these are my brothers. I'm the third of four. Unlike my mother, who is just such a dedicated family member and would sacrifice herself for any one of her siblings and lost a lot of her family members growing up, I hated my brothers. They all picked on me. This is me. I'm the cutest one right here. And even this little sucker, he would like take as soon as he could like crawl, he would grab my glasses and throw it. I have like scars from him biting me. So it was like growing up, it was always me against them. And I know there's this one time that I was fighting with the one in the blue tank top store, and we're just screaming at each other, hurling insults from the kitchen at each other. And I'm just like, I hate you so much. I wish you were dead. You throw these kind of insults at your sibling. And my mom's there, and she's like making a fabulous meal. I'm sure she's like chopping carrots, like pa, 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 and we're just screaming at the top of our lungs at each other. And at one point, I yell at her, God, I hate you, Stuart. I wish you were dead. I could just kill you. And with that, I didn't hear my mom cutting vegetables anymore. She grabbed me by my wrist, and she wrapped my little fingers around the handle of the knife, and she looked me in the eyes and said, you want to kill your brother? You kill him right now, and I won't tell anybody. I dropped the knife. My brother and I go screaming into the room we shared, and we like held each other so tightly, or like screaming and crying like, oh my God, I would never kill you. I'd never do that to you. Like, I know, I love you too. But my mom, she was working that PSYOPs game that only like coming out of Vietnam will teach you. To hear her kids hold life like that is just offensive. It hurts. And I know the recent times are also it's very painful to hear the state of affairs where we are so removed from our ancestry that we would want to limit those who come here, our friends, our family, our brothers and sisters. So it's the connecting of those stories that I'm very grateful for, and I'm grateful for my mom sharing those stories with me. That same knife, actually has like a history. I'm gonna get a little Harry Potter on you, because that knife was one of the few vegetable knives that, or it was the only knife that my family traveled with. There's a lot of superstition around knives. It's a knife that actually brought my mom and dad together and introduced them. So this is a little shorter clip, but I wanted to share this.
Oh my God. The first time I remember things didn't work out as our sponsor house, so we moved into the first house. And I remember I was moving and your dad was sitting in the front porch. And I look at him next door and I see this man sitting with a dog, and he's so white and so tall, and his hair is so brunette. God, he looked weird. And that's the first time impression I get. Well, we were settling in, and my mother needs some mint for cooking. And she looked in the next door. She said, "Oh my, look, there's a lot of mint on that side of the fence. Why don't you go over and get some?" She gave me this big, long knife. I would say, "Okay, I'm going to knock on the door." And I said, "No, I'm going to steal it." And I sneak over with this long knife, going in the back, and open the gate. And the next thing I know, this gigantic dog, right, saw me with the knife, and the dog was charging after me because I have a knife. And I remembered your dad coming out, and I can barely speak English, and I say, "I want mint. I want that. I want that." I point to the mint were growing on the fence, and I say, and he put his both hands up on the sky. It's so funny. He say, "Take it, take whatever you want, take it." And I go there and I cut the mint and I took it home. A lot of it with a big knife.
A few years later, after that, they moved to California together, and my mom had her first child. This is not her first child, but it's the best child. It's me. I wanted to share these stories just simply because just the value of storytelling, especially now, in a place where we can be honest with each other, because there's so much to learn, and in the limited time we have together. I urge you to seek each other out, seek your family members out and friends, and learn these stories, because if it wasn't for this, I would probably hate my brothers, but I don't. I love my family, and I would do anything for them, and I treat my community like my family as well. And that self-examination is so critical, especially right now. So I thank Creative Mornings for existing. I thank every one of you for showing up so early and being here. And I love you all very much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.